Hi, I'm Tim Nixon, Managing Editor of the Sustainability site at Thomson Reuters, and I'm here today with Patsy Doerr, Global Head of Corporate Responsibility and Inclusion. So today we're going to talk a little bit about the steps that we've recently taken to integrate corporate responsibility and diversity and inclusion. Mm-hmm. So why did we do that, Patsy?
Okay. Yeah. Well, thank you, Tim. Pleased to be here today.
Yeah.
So there's a couple reasons why we did it. I think overall, we're really looking at this whole space of corporate responsibility, sustainability, and diversity as a business imperative for the organization, right? We're receiving pressure and interest from the investor community, from our customers, our clients, from our employees, and from the talent that we wish to acquire. So really, we're getting a lot of external interest in this topic as well as internal interest. And so the thought process was, how do we actually build a joined-up story and a joined-up function to talk about why and how we operate as a responsible business?
Okay.
And that's really the driver.
Yeah. So as as this is starting to happen now, what happens culturally? How do we start to see a change, or how do you hope to see a change in the culture at Thomson Reuters as we sort of go through this process?
Okay, well, interestingly enough, just coming off the SLC, our Senior Leadership Conference, the whole focus of Thomson Reuters right now is around enterprise-wide thinking, right? Yeah. So we're actually going through a change process where people are being asked to think outside of their BU, their role, their scope, and think more about the organization as a whole. Yeah. So the timing is absolutely spot on for us to go down this path, because this is a full-on TR-wide exercise, right? And so when you think about culture, it's about changing that mindset and appreciation for understanding the organization as a whole and talking about the organization as a whole from a solutions perspective, as opposed to a products perspective or an individual sector perspective.
Okay.
So we'll address that in a couple different ways. I think a lot of it is around raising awareness about why we're doing this, how we're doing this, and then making the connections between how it impacts our people, our markets, and our world.
Okay. So another question I'm dying to ask you, because I'm the Managing Editor of Sustainability, is what about sustainability? That was not part of corporate responsibility and inclusion before, and now it is. So what's your thinking behind bringing sustainability into this whole mix?
Okay. It's a great question, Tim, and I think it's something that we've been talking about quite a bit, including in an event we did today at the Workplace Reform Inclusion. And at the end of the day, I think the sustainability piece is really about how we interact with our environment, right? And so if we're going to tell the story about being a responsible business, it's about how we interact with our people, our community, and our environment. And that's where I think the link really comes into play. And to your point, there's been some wonderful activities already happening around sustainability in terms of tracking certain aspects of it, whether it's the work that you're doing from a thought leadership perspective, or it's the metrics that Charlie Molesky is managing from a carbon emissions perspective. There's so much already out there. The exercise is to raise the profile on that work and to actually engage our employees in contributing to it, which is why we recently launched our efficiency campaign.
Okay, yeah. And so I tend to think too of sustainability as even a bit broader than efficiency or even just environment.
Yep.
So when I think about inclusion, I think of it from a sustainability perspective. And by that, I mean inclusion is a way of bringing diverse viewpoints into a discussion at the leadership level. And that creates a resiliency, because it allows us to be better able to respond to new conditions, new situations, because we have this diversity. Therefore, inclusion is actually about sustainability. It's about building a more sustainable organization. Does that resonate? Does that make sense to you too?
Absolutely, it does.
Okay.
And in fact, I think sustainability is about inclusion, and inclusion is about sustainability, right? The two, and that's where you really start to see the links.
Yeah, totally.